Welcome to another episode of Dubai Real Estate Unplugged, the official podcast of Haus. I'm your host, Luke Remington. Today we're diving into Arabian Ranches 3, the young sister or brother of Arabian Ranches 1 and 2, the third phase of one of Dubai's most loved communities, which is rapidly gaining popularity. I'm joined by our experts, Luke Marston and Kira Banks. Let's jump right in. Luke.
Hi.
Nice to see you again.
Nice to see you again, Luke.
Tell me a bit about you.
I'm Luke. I'm one of the Arabian Ranches specialists here at Haus. I've been with Haus for 2.5 years now. Started my journey in leasing, mainly leasing in Arabian Ranches 1 and 2. And then Arabian Ranches 3 came along just as I was finishing my leasing career. So I rented a few there. And then I moved over to sales last year in September, predominantly focused on Arabian Ranches 2, but then recently have shifted focus to Arabian Ranches 3.
We'll dive into that bit after. But Kira, welcome.
Hello.
Tell us a bit about you.
So I have been at Haus for coming up to 3 years now.
Okay.
I started in the off-plan team and I sold a couple of properties in Arabian Ranches 3 directly through EMAR, and then at the back end of 2022, just as the build-up was coming to the first handovers, moved over to the resale team to start specialising in Arabian Ranches 3 resales.
So a lot of people tend to go the other way, don't they? They tend to move from resales to off-plan because of a booming market, and you've done it the other way around.
So for me, I knew the community really well. I loved the community, but I also missed selling people a home. So because it was a community that I loved, I was kind of like, right, this is where I'm going to focus and this is where I'm going to sell people.
Makes sense to me. Right, Luke, give us a bit of a background on Arabian Ranches 3. Arabian Ranches 1, 2004, kind of coming out. Arabian Ranches 2, 2013. You just told me Arabian Ranches 3, 2019. I think Kira just mentioned 2022, which probably was when they started being handed over from the initial launch. So give us an understanding for listeners, if they have no idea. I stupidly haven't ever been to Arabian Ranches 3. And I think there's so many developments popping up across Dubai. We don't get the opportunities even in our jobs to see them all because there are so many. So for those that don't know, and we have no idea whatsoever, give us a bit of an understanding. And Kira, by all means, if you feel there's anything to add to it, you can jump in and shut Luke up.
Which happens often. So in terms of the community itself, it's obviously the third phase of the incredibly popular Arabian Ranches franchise, as you can now call it. So it's located on Sheikh Al Nahyan Road, the D54. So it's not necessarily an area that people would know about because there's not a lot around there aside from maybe Global Village. So the area itself consists of 4,200 homes, predominantly townhouses.
So the Al Nahyan Road is on the north side of it. So Arabian Ranches 1,
sandwiched in between the D54 and the E611,
which is Emirates Road on the south side. Okay, so you've got Arabian Ranches that you're talking about was kind of the original big brother, and now you've got the little sister or brother being Arabian Ranches 3. So in terms of its location, good works, Kira?
Yeah, it works really well. As Luke was saying, there's not a lot around there at the moment, but there's a lot of development happening there. Like that whole stretch by 2028 will be completely full. And in terms of how it's located in Dubai, like it's perfectly positioned in the middle for anyone traveling to both airports now. So, when Al Maktoum opens, you're going to be able to reach that in 20 minutes. You can currently reach DXB in 20 minutes. And then the positioning on Emirates Road means that it's a really good location for anyone commuting between the Emirates as well.
And we're all talking about traffic at the moment. It is the buzzword, and it seems to have been for the last 6 months or so, because Dubai just seems to be getting busier and busier. And, we've been home for summer months and we've been back to Europe, and we hear so many people are just had enough of it, and more people coming out. With access to it, how does it differ, Luke? I know you've worked in Arabian Ranches 1, and I know you've worked in Arabian Ranches 2. How is it differing to these communities?
So currently there's only one way in and out So you have to come back on yourself
in
order to go back towards maybe Arabian Ranches 1.
Okay, so this is going to be on the Al Nyan Street, on Al Nyan Road, sorry.
Correct.
The north side of Arabian Ranches 3.
Yeah. So you have to go into Arabian Ranches 3, and then when you come back out, you have to go back on the same direction that you came in. So then you have to do a U-turn just after the villa. So for some people at the moment, if you're going back towards that area, because there's a lot of schools kind of on the Al Barsha South, it adds maybe 15 minutes to your journey to Arabian Ranches 1.
Okay.
But essentially, I think one of the key things is once they open the new exit, which will be entering onto the E66, that will save time by 10 minutes at least.
Okay. And any plans, any dates for that to happen?
Mid to end of 2025. So there was meant to be an exit open last year, but the existing underpass on Emirates Road flooded, so RTA blocked that.
Okay.
So they're currently working on what was meant to be the second exit onto Emirates Road, and they've said the middle of next year. So yes, at the moment, this U-turn that Luke's talking about is the downside because it adds about 15 minutes, but that is currently reflected in the price. As soon as that exit opens next year, I'd expect a considerable price jump because it will cut the commute time by like 15 minutes.
Okay, interesting. So with Arabian Ranches 1 and Arabian Ranches 2, sorry to harp on about those two others, but you've got communities within the development. The development has got, I think, Arabian Ranches 1, you're probably around 4,000 villas. I don't know what you are, Arabian Ranches 2.
Just under 2,000.
2,000. Arabian Ranches 3, Luke, sorry, you mentioned
4,200 around that area.
Okay. Kira, entry level, what would we be looking at? What is and the prices, sizes, this kind of stuff?
So the smallest property in the community is a 3-bedroom plus maids townhouse. So they're all middle units. At the moment, you'd be lucky to get anything at 2.5 now. They're now sort of transacting around 2.7, which is a massive increase compared to when they were sold off plan.
So this would have been when they were sold off plan and launched in 2019. You've got EMA that, you've got the COVID times you're discussing. You've got service fee waivers for a couple of years. You've got post-handover payment plans, and you've got sales prices probably about 100%.
Like 1.2.
Yeah.
So there's people making like over 100% capital appreciation because it was a 60-40 payment plan.
Yeah.
40% post-handover. So even of that 1.2 at handover, they'd only put 60% of that in.
Okay. So have you got different communities within Arabian Ranches 3 as well?
Yeah.
How many?
16 sub-communities in total.
All townhouses?
No, so there is 4 independent villa communities and 2 twin villa communities.
Twin villa being?
Semi-detached, so 3 stories.
Okay.
So 2 villas attached to each other, got living space, 1 bedroom on the ground floor, maid's quarters and with a dirty kitchen, and then middle floor's got the rest of your bedrooms all en suite, and then on the top floor there's what they call a flexi room. So there is a bathroom up there, but it doesn't have a shower, and there's no wardrobes, which is why EMA don't call it a bedroom. But it could be used as either like an office space or another family area or a guest bedroom maybe from time to time.
So the sizes of these larger villas would go up to largest size, square foot?
Just under 5,500 for a 5-bedroom Eli Saab villa.
So these are the Eli Saab ones that were launched and designed by Eli Saab?
Yes.
Yeah.
And how are these doing?
They're doing well, but I think what a lot of people are considering is things that are coming up soon. A lot of people that are buying in Arabian Ranches 3 at the moment are looking for a house to move in. Eli Saab is due to complete or start handover in December 25, but they are still offering a premium that it has the highest sale in the whole community so far.
Yeah, it's like a 5-bed there. There's been transactions at 9 million.
Wow.
So that's the highest transaction in the community at the moment.
Did you do it?
Unfortunately, not that one though.
So of these communities that you were talking, the mixture between the townhouses, the semis or the twin villas, and then the standalones, are there any communities that haven't yet been launched by the developer that will be coming up in the future, or are they all launched and now people wanting to buy going to have to be resales?
They're all launched off plan. The most recent one was May,
okay,
which was launched May last year.
Wow. So that was the last
original
one
with their names.
Yeah,
May was
original.
launched in May.
Sorry, so it was May.
Yeah.
It's called May, and it was in May 2023.
Yes, but then there was cancellations that came back at the beginning of this year as well.
But if I wanted to not buy from a Luke or a Kira who's an owner, I want to go to the developer and I want to buy in Arabian Ranches 3. Let's get this straight.
Can't be done.
No, you can't go to Emaar.
It's done.
Very, very occasional times when people are missing payment plans.
Okay.
But they're once in a blue moon, and Emaar will send it out to all their agents, and then they'll be gone like that.
Sorry, my memory's not great. Did you see 16 communities?
Yes.
16 communities launched in 2019 in a difficult period. Yes, I get they were a lot cheaper, but Dubai, that's life. And there was a different. They have all completely sold out.
From 2019 to 2023, the 16 of them were all gradually launched. So there was a launch every sort of 4 to 6 months.
Wow. Okay, so 4,200 villas sold, done.
Almost on the same day each launch.
Yeah, that May launch in May 2023, that sold out in 6 minutes. And then there was and that was with a 90-10 payment plan as well.
That means putting down, you've got to pay 90%.
90% during construction and then 10% on handover. So by the time you get the keys for the property, you've paid for it in full.
You paid 100%.
And the prices then, like the cancellations that came back at the beginning of this year, Emaar were selling them for up to 2.8 million. And that was for an internal road backing unit, wasn't it? And like they haven't even been transacting at that price ready at the time.
What am I missing? I'm sorry, but what is it really offering? Is it got something different to its brother and sister? Is it offering what you've been to them, guys? I haven't.
Live there.
You live there, so you're completely sold on it. You've gone from off plan to resell to do Arabian Ranches 3, and you live there with your dog. But what is it offering for this to happen in a difficult? I know there's a heated market, and I know there's stuff going on. But what are your buyers saying to you?
So in my opinion, so I've sold in 1, 2, and 3. So essentially, for the people that want to buy there, they're looking for something modern. They're looking for something with a really, really good family feel. And they're also looking to, not leave a community every weekend. So Ranches 1, you can do that. You can not leave the community. You can stay in there. You can spend a weekend there and you wouldn't get bored. But the houses there, the prices have increased so much.
Ranches 1.
Ranches 1, yeah. The age of the build is obviously something that not a lot of people really kind of are liking anymore. So they're looking for something a little bit more modern. And if you modernize in Ranches 1, you pay quite a bit of a premium. Ranches 2 is great because you've kind of got a mixture between classic and modern. But the community is relatively small. You've got a really brilliant souk there. But there's parks, there's a couple of swimming pools and all of that kind of stuff. But Ranches 3 will have it all. It'll have a school on site. It's got a cricket pitch. It's got a lazy river, which not a lot of people know.
Yeah, now I remember actually the launch. They on a lot of the brochures you could see the lazy river. Is that up and running?
That was one of the first communities that handed over in Sun. So in Sun, which is a townhouse community, you've got the lazy river. You've got a really well-equipped gym, and you've also got a small corner shop.
So have you got a gym per community, which Ranches 1 doesn't have?
In the townhouse communities, the gym is every other community, because in the one that doesn't have the gym, they have they call it a community centre. It's not like, there's no one there manning it. It is a communal lounge area. So there'd be like sofas, tables and chairs, and then there's a small kitchenette in there as well. So I've seen people recently when I've been walking past, like last weekend, someone had a first birthday party there. So you've got like the kitchenette area where you can book to prep whatever you need. And then, if you don't want to host people in your own house, you've got a lot more space there, and it's free of charge to residents. So
same with kind of, I assume, facilities like basketball courts, tennis courts.
It is the facilities that really sell the community, because you drive around, even in November 2022, before the first handover, like all of the landscaping was in, and you get that because it's an Emaar community. Like there's greenery everywhere, there's children's parks everywhere, there's half basketball court in Joy. There's like a small amphitheatre, isn't there? So like in future they'll put events on there. There's a really good community feel. Like although the oldest property now is 18 months, like the community's really feeling established now because people are organising things within the community as well. Like there's so many community WhatsApp groups for all different things. There's like, you know, kids football and mums groups. And
have they decided on which school is going in there? Has any names been thrown about on, or is nothing confirmed?
There's been a few names thrown about, but nothing official. So
we know the nursery that will go there, Maple Bear.
Maple Bear, yeah. So they've got a branch in Town Square, Jumeirah, JBR, Creek Harbour. So you know it's an established brand that's due to hopefully open at the end of September. Probably October, I would say.
The community centre is open?
Not yet.
No, so it's going to be Arabian Ranches 3 souk. So
similar to 2?
Yeah.
Similar to 2, but whereas 2 is on 2 stories, it's all on one level, so it will feel a bit bigger. So there'll be like a bigger supermarket, the nursery, salons, barbers, pharmacies, a few coffee shops and restaurants. The only brands that we've got confirmed at the moment is a Friends Avenue cafe.
Nice.
Really nice cafe.
Really nice.
And then there's a sushi restaurant going in there as well. And then obviously Maple Bear Nursery.
There's a lot of people that, you know, these are the things that they love about Ranches 2, isn't it? That souk, you know, I live in Ranches 1 and I use the souk in Ranches 2 far more than the community centre in Ranches 1. So they keep uplifting it. And you know, one thing you do know with Emart, or certainly I know from obviously being an Emart tenant here in Golden Diamond Park, is that they're so thorough on the brands that come into the community, and they're changing them around dependent on what the homeowners or tenants are saying. So they're getting really good feedback on this, that or the other.
Yeah, I used to work in retail and dealt with Emart, and they were incredibly diligent on who they'd let in. It was worse than a lottery for some of these retail brands.
And all of the units in the souk have been full since last year. Mm-hmm. Like there's people trying to get a lease in there and they just can't. It's completely full.
Yeah. So, Luke, you touched on it with Arabian Ranches 2, 20 years old, older villas, people are doing them up and spending quite a bit of money, but yet they can go to Arabian Ranches 3 and they can get a newer villa. And what are people saying when they get the keys or they're buying these? Are they happy with the quality that they're getting today? Do they feel it's a bit cheaper than they would like? Are you finding that people are, because this is the absurd thing about Dubai, is you find people buy a brand new home and then they rip out the kitchen and put a new kitchen in. You know, it's crazy. I don't know anywhere in the world that people would be doing that after buying a brand new property, but
no, you don't see many upgraded properties as of yet. Some things, there were a couple that have been like slightly upgraded.
And when you say upgraded, what would people be doing to their property?
If you're talking about maybe Arabian Ranches 1, people are ripping out the floors because they're quite dated. The kitchens and the cupboards upstairs all kind of being ripped out because they're old, you know, they might be a bit worn, and also not very modern. So that's kind of what you'd be looking at. But if you go into Arabian Ranches 3 properties, they're all of a modern design that you'd kind of expect.
Already got floor to ceiling windows.
So lots of natural light, lots of kind of innovation in terms of storage as well. Because I think in a lot of these old villas, sometimes you just don't have enough storage. They've made storage wherever they can in these.
Okay, so you have seen a difference between, let's say, the Ranches 2 property. Can you honestly say you look at the floor plans between the two properties? I can see that the architect that did Ranches 2 has maybe made a change in Ranches 3 because of the feedback.
Yeah, one of the key things I think was the size of the maid's room in the 3-bed Camellias, for example, in Ranches 2, which is quite a comparable community. They've reconfigured the downstairs area of the 3 beds in Sun, Joy and Spring to actually give a slightly bigger space for the maid in the community.
Yeah, it's a nice space. I use mine as an office because it's got a big floor to ceiling window in there. It's nice and bright and just this. It's quite functional, the space, isn't it? Like there is enough space to have a full-size bed, for example. That was one of the things with Camellia, wasn't it?
I know you look, that's quite strong for you to live there. I know there's a lot of brokers that, you know, or consultants or, you know, people in this job that if we work in a community, we don't necessarily want to live there as well because we're there all the time. What really pulls you there, Kira? Where else were you looking?
So I was in Dubai Hills previously.
Wow.
So I was always in an Emart community, but I was previously in an apartment.
Yeah.
And I just think the value for money in Arabian Ranches 3, to go that little bit further out, I've got a 3-bedroom townhouse for the same price, well, actually slightly less than what I would have been paying for the 2-bedroom apartment.
And when you talk about further out, now doing it and living there, or I don't know, speaking to your friends and, okay, do you want to come over to mine? Are they saying you're just too far out, that's miles out? Or how are you feeling about it? Is it
getting there, getting to Arabian Ranches 3 is absolutely fine. The coming back from Ranches 3 at the moment, because of the U-turn that we mentioned before, it is adding a bit of extra time onto your journey.
But you're talking 5-10 minutes.
Yeah.
10-15 minutes, like, I will be honest, it does add quite a bit. But
are you talking kind of school
next year?
Yeah.
And that's like for your commute, and obviously it benefits me because if I'm doing viewings there, I'll try and get my viewings in the morning or towards the end of the day, so I'm only doing that journey once or twice.
Yeah.
But yeah, in terms of, it was the facilities that drew me, like, you know, having a garden, just having stairs has made a difference to me.
Really? Garden, balconies, stairs.
Keep your posture good, huh?
The community feel though, like, I mentioned before about like WhatsApp groups and stuff, like everybody's so helpful. Like there's a maintenance group, like any maintenance issues, you just say, oh, has anyone ever had this before? And chances are they probably have, because obviously they're new builds, right? So they're going to have teething issues.
Are people just generally more, are your neighbours more friendly bunch here than they would be? We're all from the UK, but I just feel like there's always someone here to help or, you know, smile or give you some friendly advice, and they give you your time.
Differ as well from an apartment block to a townhouse community, because in an apartment block, how many times do you bump into people in the lift and you're just like, morning, and don't say anything else? Whereas because everyone's spending a lot more time outside in a townhouse community, and you see each other like walking the dog or nip into the corner shop, like you see the same faces more often.
Corner shop, that's
Luke said it before. So there's a Spinneys, like a convenience store, that's in Sun. So that's what we've got at the moment. So the souk will open in the next couple of months. But for now, you have got the Spinneys on site. You know, you can get Deliveroo, Kareem, like Talabat, they all come to the community, but your nearest supermarket at the moment would be the bigger Spinneys next door in the Villa, or Carrefour in Villanova or Cityland Mall.
Okay. And so you've got people turning up to buy, you're doing lots of viewings, you're having tremendous months here, so a lot of sales happening. What are your type of buyers? Are these people looking to buy to rent them out as an investor, or are you finding it's actually families? You find it's people like yourself, just, you know?
I think you've got a real mix still, because it still offers a good investment opportunity. You can see the capital appreciation from obviously handover, but that's still happening now. Even people that bought last year are still getting maybe 30% capital gains on their purchase price last year, for a ready community, say. Also, in terms of kind of general ROIs for the community, if you were really lucky enough to buy off plan, you're talking nearly 10-11% if you're renting it out at current market rate. Wow. But even now, if you're buying a property at say 2.6 as a 3-bed example, you're still getting around 6% gross ROI for the properties there.
Okay, so just comparison with there, correct me if I'm wrong, you're talking 2.6, this is the property where the maid has been configured and it's better than the similar type in Ranches 2 would be between 3 and 3.2.
Yes.
So you've got 500,000-600,000 saving.
Yeah.
But for 1 year, you've got probably 50, for the next year, you've probably got an extra 15 minutes on your journey.
Yeah.
Okay. And are people saying, you know, you're speaking to clients that maybe are viewing all different communities around the area. Kira, you mentioned at the start that area, Al Nyan Road down to Emirates Road, that whole block. And for listeners, you've got kind of Global Village around there. You've got the IMG World. There is that. What is that's a huge supermarket. I don't know whether many people go there, but
Cityland. It's massive.
Crazy.
That's an actual kind of mall.
Which
not a lot of people know about, but it it's been it's always had that really large Carrefour in there, and it's had a few shops, but it's been vacant for a very long time, a lot of the units. Now they're starting to really
fill up
through. Yeah,
I was there earlier in the week, and there's so many units now saying like opening soon.
Yeah. Are people saying it's far out?
I think it's good to touch on this again, actually, because we obviously operate a lot in the kind of Al Qudra corridor, but there's a whole other part of Dubai to the north. So you've got areas like Silicon Oasis, where you've got some really, really good schools. You've got Nad Al Sheba, again, where you've got some good schools, and you've got the airport. So for those guys, actually, it doesn't add that much onto their journey. It's actually a really good location for them, because if their kids are potentially going to school in Al Barsha South, and then they're working maybe in downtown, it's a perfect location for them, because they can go on to Sheikh Al Nayan and then turn back around, and the U-turn to get back on the southern direction is really, really quick.
Yeah, okay. And quickly, for those looking to rent, Luke, you would be looking entry level for a rental?
150.
Okay, going up to the Ellie Saabs haven't been
No.
Okay, but what would be your next largest, your 4 or 5 beds? What would they be kind of?
So the highest transaction so far, I think, if I'm right, is 220,000.
220?
Yeah, and that was a 4-bed.
Which is substantially, again, cheaper than everything else I see going on at the moment in ranches. You're seeing figures 5, 6, 7, 8 millions in Arabian Ranches 1.
So at the moment, you've only got 4 sub-communities handed over. So there's Sun, Joy and Spring, which are all pretty much, the 3 beds are all exactly the same layout. They're the ones that are most similar to the equivalent in Ranches 2. And then the 4 beds differ slightly from between communities, but they're the ones that all handed over last year. And we're now just starting to see Ruba, which is another townhouse community that's being handed over currently, started in April. They are slightly more expensive because they're, again, like you were saying before, like Emaar do listen to the feedback, so they've tweaked the layout again. So the 3 beds there is slightly bigger, anywhere from 100 to 200 square foot extra on the built up area, but it's all in the living space. So it makes the back of the house feel so much more big, it's more spacious. And then the 4 beds there has been one corner, it was literally right next to the pool and park, that rented at 260.
Wow.
And then as a comparison for sales, like the one across the road from that, a corner back to back unit sold at 4.2.
You've probably found a lot of tenants who were previously renting in Ranches 1 and 2 probably have been thinking that I'm just going to get so much more value for money.
I saw that last year as well. So whilst I was still in rentals, people were coming from the Springs even, and they're saying I'm willing to put an extra 20 minutes on my journey because the prices here are so much more affordable. I'm getting so much more for my money, and if I'm an early adopter to a community, then I'm in a really good position in the future. Because the prices there, we were renting one at around maybe at the basic level 105, 110 when they first started coming out. Now you'd be lucky to get one for 150.
This is the thing, when people are saying things are far out, I think you can go back 10 years and you can say things are far out.
Because you said about
Ranches 1 when that,
of course, right?
Everyone thought you were mad.
But now you're not far out, because people go home and they don't necessarily want to travel down to the Marina or the Palm now to go to a restaurant. There's restaurants all around, so get into community shops and, all these kind of things. Great. That's all we have time for today. Thank you for joining me, Kira and Luke, and thank you to all our listeners for tuning in. Don't hesitate to get in touch with our area specialists to learn more and help you with your next real estate move. And be sure to subscribe to our podcast on your preferred platform to stay updated. See you till next time.